What if the story of Cain and Abel hides a much deeper secret than what we have been taught for centuries? Why is Jesus called the Son of Man, but never the Son of God in a biological sense? Why does the Bible place so much emphasis on nakedness after the forbidden fruit? And above all, why does God speak of two offspring in the Garden of Eden? For generations, certain researchers, mystics, and Bible readers have defended a theory that is as disturbing as it is fascinating. What if Cain was not actually the son of Adam? Today, we are going to explore together this forbidden theory, its most mysterious verses, and the hidden symbols behind one of humanity's greatest biblical stories. Subscribe to join us for more spiritual journeys and profound revelations ahead. In the Bible, Jesus is often called the Son of Man. This expression raises an intriguing question. Could there exist, on the opposite side, another symbolic lineage? Since the beginning of the world, many traditions have described existence as a balance between two opposing forces, good and evil, light and darkness, yes and no, life and death, heaven and hell. Even in Eastern philosophies, yin and yang represent this fundamental dualism. In the Bible, this conflict seems to appear from the very first children of Eve, Cain and Abel, two brothers, two paths, two sacrifices, two opposite destinies. But was this opposition merely moral, or does it hide a much deeper origin? The forbidden fruit of the Garden of Eden is probably one of the greatest mysteries in the entire Bible. Most depictions show a simple apple, yet no verse explicitly mentions an apple. So why, immediately after eating the fruit, do Adam and Eve suddenly become aware of their nakedness? In Genesis chapter 2, verse 25, it is written, "The man and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame." But after consuming the fruit, Genesis 3, verse 7 declares, "Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked." Then Adam says to God, "I was afraid because I was naked." Nakedness suddenly becomes the center of the conversation between God and humanity. For some alternative interpreters, this detail is far from insignificant. They believe that the forbidden fruit actually symbolizes an act connected to sexuality, carnal knowledge, or an intimate transgression. This theory is also supported by the presence of the serpent, described as the most cunning creature in the garden. In Genesis 3, the serpent seduces Eve before she then gives the fruit to Adam. The text also emphasizes three elements. The fruit was pleasant to look at, good for food, and capable of opening the mind. For some mystical readers, these descriptions are symbolic rather than literal. This is where one of the most controversial theories of biblical interpretation emerges. In Genesis 3, verse 15, God declares, "I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring." This verse has fascinated interpreters for centuries. Why speak of two distinct offspring? For some, it simply refers to the spiritual battle between good and evil, but others see in it the existence of two opposing symbolic lineages, that of the serpent and that of humanity faithful to God. According to this controversial interpretation, Cain symbolically represents the lineage of rebellion, while Abel represents the righteous lineage. This idea is reinforced by the fact that the two brothers immediately embody a deadly conflict. Cain becomes the first murderer in biblical history. Abel becomes the first innocent victim. The text seems to build a constant contrast between the two men. their actions, their sacrifices, their behavior, and their relationship with God. Some supporters of this theory go even further. They rely on several biblical passages to support their interpretation. First argument. In Genesis 4, verse 1, it is written, Adam knew Eve his wife. She conceived and gave birth to Cain. According to some alternative interpretations, this verse may have been written in a way that hides its deeper meaning from many readers, just as sexuality itself seems to be concealed behind the symbolism of the forbidden fruit. For traditional interpretations, however, this simply means that Adam is the father of Cain. But alternative readings focus on the order of events and on the earlier context involving the serpent in action. Eve first eats the fruit with the serpent, before later giving it to her husband Adam. Second argument. In Genesis chapter 5, the lineage of Adam begins with Seth instead of Cain. The text specifies that Adam fathered a son in his own likeness and gave him the name Seth. Some see this as an important symbolic distinction. How can the lineage of Adam begin with Seth, while Cain, the firstborn, was still alive? According to this interpretation, if Cain is not included in the lineage of Adam, then Cain must have another father, namely the serpent. Third argument, the radical spiritual contrast between Cain and Abel seems to represent two opposing natures. In the New Testament, certain statements also become mysterious. For example, in the Gospel of John, Jesus speaks to certain men and says, "You belong to your father, the devil." For many believers, this phrase is symbolic, but for other interpreters, it reinforces the idea of an opposition between two spiritual inheritances within humanity. Fourth argument, Matthew 13 verse 38 states, "The field is the world. The good seed stands for the children of the kingdom, and the weeds are the children of the evil one." And verse 39 becomes even more direct by declaring, "The enemy who sowed them is the devil." Is the serpent the devil? Yes, according to Revelation 20 verse 2, this serpent from Genesis is identified as the dragon, that ancient serpent who is the devil and Satan, the one who will be bound for 1,000 years. For supporters of this theory, this fourth argument is especially powerful and strengthens the idea that Cain was not the son of Adam. According to this interpretation, it would also suggest that the serpent introduced his own seed into the field in order to produce his offspring, the weeds. However, it is very important to clarify one thing. This theory is not recognized by the majority of theologians, historians, or mainstream Christian traditions. In the traditional interpretation of the Bible, Cain is indeed considered to be the biological son of Adam and Eve. The seed of the serpent is generally understood as a symbolic image of evil, temptation, and sin. But why are these alternative theories so fascinating? Because they attempt to explain the origin of human evil, violence, corruption, betrayal, and the ongoing conflict between humans. They transform the biblical narrative into an immense symbolic war between two opposing forces present within humanity since the very beginning. It is perhaps this mysterious dimension that continues to captivate so many readers today. So, was Cain simply a jealous man, or the symbol of a spiritual lineage opposed to God? Was the forbidden fruit truly just a simple fruit, or a hidden representation of a much deeper transgression? For thousands of years, these questions have divided believers, scholars, and fans of biblical mysteries alike. And what about you? What do you think of this theory? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If this video intrigued you, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share it with anyone who loves biblical mysteries and hidden theories. Because here, we explore the truths that many don't even dare to question.